Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Haskins. I'm a virtual tutor here in the ILC Center at Wake Tech Community College. I'll be sharing with you guys a series of videos of very common content topics that are covered in Bio 168 and 169. If you like this video, please like it, repost, and share it. When we start talking about Bio 168, which is anatomy and physiology, it's important that we understand what it means when we talk about what anatomy is and what physiology is. When we look at anatomy, we're looking at the study of body parts, the study of how structures are put together. One of my common examples that I use is my daughter. She's 9 years old, and she has many toys and dolls around the house. The anatomy of the doll is how they're put together. So you have the head, and you have the arms, and you have the leg. They're put together onto the torso. The physiology of that is how these structures work. So the head of some of the dolls moves left, moves right. The arms moves up and back. So there's the leg, and sometimes the torso can even twist left or twist right. So looking at anatomy, looking at physiology, we know that the study of anatomy has to deal with the structure. The study of physiology has to deal with the actual function of that structure. So, anatomy, structure, how things are put together, physiology, function, how that structure works. Now, the reason why it is important to understand anatomy and physiology at the general level is because once you move forward in the healthcare industry and you encounter patients, we know that most of the time patients go to the physician's office when they're having some issues. So if you understand the general anatomy and physiology of what these structures are supposed to do normally, when those patients come to you with abnormal findings or abnormal things, it's much easier to help to diagnose what's going on with this patient if you are a provider. Now let's look at the type of anatomies. We have gross anatomy and we have microscopic anatomy. Gross anatomy is things that we can see with the naked eye. We don't need any assistance. Well, I still needs assistance. But we don't need any other assistance to help us see those structures. That's gross or macroscopic anatomy. We can see those things normal. Like I see the arm, I see the leg of the doll. The microscopic anatomy is things that we cannot see with the naked eye. So we're going to have a microscope in order to see it. Structures such as cells that are within the body or tissues within the body are things that we are going to need an actual microscope to view in order to magnify those very, very tiny structures. Speaking of tiny structures, the body as a whole has a level of organization, a structural organization that goes from very simple to very complex. Some books will talk about the simplest form being the chemistry level, where we talk about the atoms and the molecules and how they come together to create these organelles, which are complex structures found inside of a cell. Now, after the chemistry level, or after that chemical level, the next structure in the hierarchy or in that organization that now begins to become more unspecific is going to be a cell. So your cells are the smallest living unit within the body. I always refer to cells um, when I'm doing anatomy and physiology. I will refer to cells as the wife or the mom of the body. Um, Most people have probably heard this saying, happy life, I'm sorry, happy wife, happy life, right? What that means is if the wife or the mom of the house is happy, typically everything else is happy in the house. And some people may even beg to differ and say, well, how about happy spouse, happy house? However you choose, let's look at the cell. The cell is the smallest living unit in the body. The cell has to get what it needs first in order for the body as a whole to get what it needs. So if we're looking at that analogy of happy wife, happy life, or happy spouse, happy house, if the individual, mom or wife, or the spouses are in the home happy, then the whole home is happy. So if the cells of the body are happy, meaning that they get the nutrients that they need, then subsequently the whole body is happy because it gets the nutrients that it needs, right? So we go from the chemistry level to a cellular level. Now, cells, again, basic living units of the body. They have these complex structures called organelles inside that have various functions. You have organelles such as mitochondria, that most people are familiar with being the powerhouse of the cell, right? We have Golgi apparatus, which most people are familiar with being the UPS or the packaging, FedEx, shipping things outside of the cell. We have the nucleus, which is going to have the genetic information. We have the plasma membrane. All of those are components that make up an actual cell. Those cells that have similar function come together to create what we call tissues. Now, there are four main types of tissues in the body. We have epithelial tissue, we have connective tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. Those are your four types of tissues found within the body. The cells that have similar function create tissues. As you can see, we're getting more and more complex and more specific as we move closer and closer to the organism level. The organs, tissues that have similar function create organs. For example, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, these are all organs. They are created from tissues that have similar function. Your organs that have similar function come together to create our organ systems. We have about 11 organ systems in the body: digestive system, respiratory system, reproductive system, integumentary system, endocrine system. All of those are systems that come together to create the actual organism or that whole body. So as you can see, studying anatomy and physiology is only the tip of the iceberg. We need to know what normally happens in the body in order for us to understand what happens when something abnormal occurs. And then again, we also need to know that level of organization from very simple to very complex. Chemistry being very simple, complex being the organizational level, the human body as a whole. The next thing we want to talk about is homeostasis. This is the body's happy place. This is where everything in the body wants to be. It's a term here that refers to an equilibrium. I always refer to it as the body's happy place, where the body likes to be. The body likes to have certain things. We know, we've probably read that the normal blood pressure is 120 over 80. So the body likes to have its blood pressure around that. The normal heart rate is about 72 beats per minute. So anywhere between 60 and 100 beats per minute, the body is happy. So the homeostasis is where the body likes to be, doesn't like to be disturbed. Now, join me next week when we talk about what happens when the body does get disturbed. Thanks. Like and share if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.